Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up and have been for over 30 years. It is my joy to bring to you another card tutorial. This is from Project 2 at Stamp Club in July of 2026. Now, the card that I'm going to show you is slightly different than the one that we actually made at Club. I will be showing you the exact one at the end, but this is another version, and I thought it would be fun for you to be able to see this one and then see the other one. Those who were present at Stamp Club and made the other one, it's kind of fun to see a different version. This is a great reminder on all of the dimensions and the steps in making the card. Or if you are watching for the first time and just learning how to make this, then you will find out everything that you need to know how to create this cute card. Now, the design is something that I saw and decided to copy. So for just a minute, let's talk about the word case. Are you familiar with what it means to case a card or a project? So traditionally, for many, many years, what this has stood for is copy and share everything. So it's really a form of complimenting someone's artwork. If you see it and you're like, I have to make that, and you copy it. Basically, what you just did is you cased their card. Now, recently, it's become a little bit popular to change this up a little bit to be copy and share with edits. So that is often what we do because we get inspired by something we see and then we go to make it and we change the paper or we change the die cut shape or we change the way the card opens, etc. So this is very common and that is what I've done today. I saw a card and I am casing copy and share with edits, and this is my version. All right, I hope you learned us something a little extra besides a crafting technique. All right, we are going to begin with a piece of Hydrangea Hue cardstock, 5.5 inches by 8.5. I have already made a score line here down the center at 4.25 inches. I'm going to fold it and use my bone folder to reinforce this crease. This makes for a very nice fold in your card base without the cardstock crinkling or bending funny. So there we have our nice crisp card base. All right, then I have two pieces of basic white cardstock. Both of them are 4 inches by 5.25. One will be for a front layer and one will be for the inside panel. Then I have a piece of Hydrangea Hue, and this looks the same size as the white, but it is not. It is 1/8 of an inch smaller. So this piece is 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/8 inch. All right, so this is the piece that we are going to put through an embossing folder to get this look. Now, the second card that I'm going to show you of this design used a different embossing folder, and we'll talk about that. You can make this same card design and just change up whatever texture background you want or whichever one you have that is handy. All right, I'm going to get this prepped for putting through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine so that we can put our texture on it. So what you need when you do this kind of embossing folder, this is a 3D embossing folder. So you'll want to make sure that you change your sandwich plates in your machine. You only need a plate 1. That's like the base or the platform. You need a plate 1 and you need a plate number 4. That's all you're going to need. You're going to remove your other plates. Don't use the number 2 and don't use either one of the number 3 plates. This is going to go into my embossing folder. I'm going to close it, and when I put it through my machine, I'm going to put the hinged edge in first. It's going to go underneath this like so. So give me just a moment while I run that through the machine. The 3D embossing folders put a very deep impression into the paper. And that is why it requires a special layering of your, what we call sandwich layers in your machine so that it will go through. All right, and there we have it. You can see that is beautiful. And this one was called the Soft Waves. I have not looked to see if this is a current product or not. It could even be on the last chance list. I'm not sure, but you can look that up and see if it's available or choose something else. Okay, so I'm going to attach that beautiful textured piece. And oh, I need some glue. Here we go. I'm going to attach that to one of my white layers. Now, it's because it's very textured, you may need to use a little bit more glue than you would normally use. And you can see I'm kind of squiggling this. I want to make sure that it gets into those little grooves. Down here is a little flatter. Down in those grooves. Or, of course, you could use your Stampin' Seal if that's your go-to adhesive. That is great as well. All right, this is going to go on one of those pieces of white. And you'll see that there is a very, very small border of white all the way around because, again, we only came down 1/8 of an inch in measurements instead of the very often used 1/4 inch when you're putting layers down. All right, so there we have that. Now we can attach that to our card base, and we have some beautiful layers to set the stage for our focal point. All right, on this card, I saw the scalloped, let me show you the dies, the scalloped blooms dies. Okay, that's what we're going to be using. And this is very fun, and perhaps you've never done this before. So let's talk about the next step. You can see here that I have my scalloped die, all right? Now, I've already run this through my machine so that I could save a little bit of time and not have to do everything here on camera while you wait. So I've already run this through and I'm going to pop it out. What you're going to see is I actually did 2 layers of designer series paper at the same time. Now, I don't recommend trying to cut 2 pieces of cardstock at the same time. It's just too thick. But because the designer series paper is thin, you can cut 2 out at once, which is what I've done. Now, all you need to start with is a scrap. This is about 3¼ inches square. It doesn't really matter what size as long as your die will completely fit on it, as you saw mine did. All right, so I have those 2 prints, ran them through at the same time, and I have my 2 pieces that I'm going to need. Now, another element that I did ahead of time is I took this die from the same set, the Scalloped Blooms dies, and with some basic white cardstock, I die cut that piece. That's going to be on our card. I love this little die. I'm really, really liking that shape. And then there is a small flower as part of the same die set, and I've die cut that. I did this piece out of Misty Moonlight. Now, Misty Moonlight is not really incorporated anywhere else in the card, but I feel like this color of blue looks nice with the Hydrangea Hue. So that is why I chose Misty Moonlight for that little die cut. The last thing is kind of an interesting looking die. That is the leaves. It looks like this, and as you can see, it cuts out 6 leaves or 3 sets of 2, all right? So I've got 2 leaves sitting here. Of course, in club, when one person would take the die and the scrap cardstock and cut it out, it would create 6 leaves and you only needed 2. So some people got to skip the step of die cutting this because there were plenty of leaves to go around. All right, now I'm going to pull out, oh, our last piece that we didn't talk about is this little strip. This is another piece of the same designer series paper that I chose for the card. This piece is 3/8 of an inch and it's 6 inches long. You only need a piece that is 5¼ inches long, But as you have seen me do time and time again, I am going to attach this all the way across the white panel that's going on the inside and then trim the ends off. We could go ahead and do that while we're talking about it. And once again, you can either put the glue onto the strip, or since I know that this is going to go right here at the bottom, you could also choose to just put your adhesive onto the white cardstock. That works as well. All right, so now I'm able to take my strip, lay it on here. I like to leave a little white edge at the bottom. Not always, but most of the time. Now my designer series paper strip completely goes end to end. I haven't skimped at all by trying to measure it and have it be the exact 5¼ inch length that my white paper is. Even when you measure things, sometimes they come out just a hair different. So I like to do it this way and then just take my scissors and we'll snip those extra edges off. This is now ready to go on the inside of my card. Either of these paper prints would have made a nice accent on your inside panel. So you can just see maybe what scrap you have, and that will help make a selection on what piece you should use to complete the inside of your card. Now, with the amount of cards that I make, which let's just say is a big number, I did realize recently that I was getting a little bit lower on birthday cards than, for instance, thinking of you or thank you cards. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we did a birthday card this month, a birthday card design. Okay, now this is super fun, and I thought it was very creative in the card that inspired me. We're going to take our 2 scallops. You're going to choose one to be your primary and one to be your secondary. With your secondary piece, we are actually going to trim it down. Now you can do this with your scissors, or everybody at club chose to do it with their paper trimmer for fear of not cutting straight. And so I'm going to show you how to do that with the paper trimmer. All right, I know that I want 5 scallops when I'm finished. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what I want to end up with. So I'm going to make my cut just after that 5th scallop and just before it. You can pretty much just do that on your trimmer by placing it in here. I'm going to put this little, we've got the up part of the petal or the scallop and then the down part. So I'm putting the down part into the groove. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scallops and then put that down part into the groove and simply cut it like so, nice and straight. This is the piece we're using. This is extra. You could make a second card slicing off the other half of this, or save this for a completely different project. And now we're just going to add this to our full scallop. How ingenious is that little design idea? Okay, line up your scallops, which they will line up perfectly because it's the exact same die cut shape. And in fact, we cut it at the same time. No risk of any kind of error. And there we have it. Now that is super cute. This is going to go on the card front like so. But before we do that, I want to wrap some twine around here. Now I will tell you, we used white baker's twine. That is what is on my sample here. And I completely used the last of it yesterday, or at club. So I'm going to just reach for some linen thread, which is always a good choice when you're trying to add a little bit of embellishment. And so we're going to go ahead and use the linen thread. But if you have the white baker's twine, I think the crispness of the white looks really good with the card. All right, I'm going to leave a rather long tail here. And then I'm going to wrap this around right where the split is. I think we're going to go twice. So let's do it this way. I'm going to have my tail. Okay, I want to wrap forward. So I'm going to wrap all the way around and then come up. There's my tail. Okay, I've created it that way. And then this one goes around and we need a second tail so that we can tie a bow. So you're just going around the area where the two shapes came together, where you glued them together, and then you want to leave enough of your two tails so that you can tie a bow. All right, let's put this here where I can reach it a little better. And tie my bow. I'm going to hold this. Some of you won't need to do this, but I'm going to hold this area with my reverse. Oh, I always want to say scissors. These are not reverse scissors, reverse tweezers. Just going to hold that little area for me. And then complete my bow. We'll see if I can get it in one try. All right, I need to just straighten out my loops and my tails. There we go. Maybe a little more. And there we have it. Okay, we've got our sweet little bow. I've got some fuzz here that I feel like needs to come off. There we go. And then I'll trim up my tails a little bit, but I do kind of leave longer tails on this project. You can shorten them if you want. I'm going to pull that twine and take the kink out of it. And same thing over here. I'm just pulling it under my nail and between my finger. There we go. Get a little of that kink out. This is ready to go on the card, and we're going to do that with some full-size dimensionals. And I'm probably going to use about 4 or 5, working my way around. I have red scribbled on mine so that these are easy to spot. Sometimes they get on the table, and between all of the pieces of paper and the bins of all of the product elements and so forth, they get lost all the time. So that red scribble helps them stand out a little bit more. Okay, let's attach this to our card front, and then we can finish with our little accent pieces. Now, I like the angle of this blue piece kind of coming down this way. So that's where I'm going to put my scallop. We're going to come over here to this adorable shape, and using a happy birthday stamp and Hydrangea Hue ink, let's add happy birthday. Now, I encourage use of the Stampin' Pierce mat often. You'll find that sometimes you get a nice impression even if you don't use this, but you can pretty much guarantee a nice, smooth, clean image, stamped image, if you will just take a moment and put your paper on top of your little mat. And there we have it, and that looks great. All right, to attach this, I want the right side to be flat on the card here, but I'm going to pop it up with a dimensional so it's the same height as this. So let's put our dimensional on there. And then as you can see, it's going to be resting here on my scallop, which means I don't need another dimensional here or it will be up too high. This is already raised, and now I've raised this side. So we're just going to put a little bit of regular glue on that side. And I'm going to tuck this right about where the twine is, like so. So now this element and this element are equal in height from the base of the card, and it looks good. It doesn't look awkward or uneven. Let's take that cute little flower. I'm going to raise it up as well. So I'll put a dimensional. You could use a mini on the back of this if you want. I've got my full size ones. That works as well. And I'm just going to put this right here at the edge of Happy Birthday. Now, because the dimensional is in the center, I've got some loose space here, which is great because that's where I'm going to tuck my leaves. All right, so leaf 1 with a little dab of glue can get tucked in here. And let's do the same with our second leaf. And that looks very cute. All right, now the center of our flower needs a little something, and you know that we're going to dress it up. So we need a gem or a rhinestone or something. So I am going to, well, let me tell you, we used the 26 to 28 in color dots on our card in club. For this one, I'm going to actually grab a white because this looks kind of white. It's barely blush. I'm going to grab a white embellishment for this. Let me grab it from my collection and I'll share that with you. All right, these are called Pearls of Beauty. There are other options too that are white. There's some shimmering something that's in white you could choose to, but I'm just going to take this Pearls of Beauty in the white and add a flower center. And I'm going to use one of these larger ones. It's kind of pearly and shiny. It's really beautiful. Look how perfect. That one tiny little accent does so much to complete the card. So we have our beautiful element that is quite creative, the way we've got the split colors on our scallop. Of course, our greeting and our little embellished flower and the inside of the card. So as I mentioned, let me show you the one that the Stamp Club members actually made. We used Crisp Cantaloupe. We still used papers from the same pack of 12 by 12. This is the Bloom Boutique packet of papers. So this is where I pulled my blue papers. It's also where I got the paper for this card. And this is in the green and this kind of barely blush background with all of the florals. And this is our completed card from Stamp Club. So in exchange for the soft waves, we used Forever Plaid. We did the same steps. You can see the white twine, which I think I do prefer. Where's our blue card with the white twine? All right, and here's the blue version. I just think that the white pops a little better. The linen thread is pretty, but if you have the white, let's go with the white. So this was the club card. Everything else is the same. So the dimensions are the same. The process is the same. You can just change up your colors and your embossing folder to create this look. This was so much fun for me to share with you this wonderful, adorable, cute little project. This was Project 2 from Stamp Club in July of 2026. There are 2 other videos from our Stamp Club projects this month. Be sure and look for Project 1 and Project 3. And as I always do, I'm going to put some helpful information for you below this video, including some shopping links and hopefully answers to any questions you might have. If you do have questions or comments, please do not hesitate. I read all of the comments and I respond to all of you. So I look forward to doing this again very soon. And until next time, Happy stamping.